all very excited. She's back. Light Blue and You's latest sales dream. She's a sales dream is what she is. Cue Vassos to cue the intro, please.
Our next guest is a dietitian, nutritionist, best-selling author, and your microbiome's BFF. She's about to launch a new range of probiotic supplements. So please welcome a woman who's no dummy if your tummy's feeling funny. She's glossy, and she's Aussie, and she's Dr Megan Rossi.
Guess who's back? Megan's back. And I see you're wearing Tilly and I's latest range of Light Blue and You.
I'm your first product, aren't I?
Thank you for that. You look great in your Light Blue and You. That's cool. So that's our side hustle. Your side hustle, your new side hustle. Let's get straight into this. What is this wonderful box of health that I can see in front of me?
Now, Chris, you probably won't remember this because you're used to interviewing movie stars and rock stars,
Yeah.
but 4 or 5 years ago, I literally sat in this seat
Yes, you
and
did.
I was talking to you about how the probiotic market was doing injustice to probiotic science.
Yes.
And there was something in me with that conversation with you. Honestly, you triggered something and I was like, I need to fix this, right? So over the years, have been working to try translate the science around probiotics into something that's really helpful.
Okay.
And, it's kind of where
Today's the day.
the range has come from. Like, it's a bit surreal. I got rejected 11 times.
Yeah.
Companies wouldn't want to buy
Well, that's
of
what you want,
me.
though. It's what you want, isn't it? Because I remember Jeff Bezos got rejected. He was trying to raise $1 million.
Yeah.
And I think it was 500, 600 meetings he went to, fundraising meetings.
Right.
And the number one question he was asked, not all the meetings, the most frequent question he was asked was, what's the internet? That's that's what you
It
want.
makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
But it was the whole concept essentially is, stemmed from me being a clinician, right? So,
First of all, just dish out your qualifications again, because it's really important.
Yeah, right. So, dietitian, nutritionist. Then I did a PhD in probiotics and prebiotics.
Yeah, so
right?
she knows what she's talking about.
So, and then moved over. So, obviously, the great intro about being Aussie. So, moved over to the UK to work as a researcher at King's, where I still work, and I'm so passionate about the
King's
research.
College.
King's College London. Yep.
Exactly. So this is the real deal you're listening to here.
Thanks, Chris. So, I obviously did the PhD in probiotics, and I was like, wow, these things can be really powerful when used in the right way.
Yeah.
But then, as a clinician, so, seeing patients, and there was really 4 areas where patients would come and see me, and I had like this inner turmoil, right? I was like, don't know what to do. I know that there is really good scientific evidence. In fact, some areas, there's clinical guidelines where it says that if someone comes in, for example, with antibiotics, then you should tell them to take the LGG bacteria at 10 billion units twice a day throughout their antibiotic period. So there's literally these guidelines out there.
Right.
The products didn't exist.
Wow.
So I was like, the same with the colic, bacterial vaginosis and thrush, immune function. So those are constantly getting like cold and flu, and then obviously antibiotics. So as a clinician, I knew there was this evidence out there, but the products weren't available on the market. So I was
the
like,
question's being asked.
yeah.
And there is an answer.
Yeah.
Somebody's just got to come up with the answer.
Yeah. So it was like, what do I tell these patients who want support and be like, you know what? There's actually, a systematic review, which is like this body of evidence for this, but the product doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Like,
and they haven't got time for that. They just want the
they
answer.
off at me in a way,
Yeah,
wouldn't they? So
100%.
I got told not to swear, and I literally just,
It doesn't matter. We're allowed that. It's for
Sorry,
people's
I'm just
well-being.
really emotional.
She swore for the good of your health. I apologise, Ofcom, and Megan apologises. However, you got to let this one go.
But I feel like, I've been doing a lot of like psychoanalyzing, like what got me through those 11 rejections, right? And about my sister, so I lost her through a medical mistake, and I feel like that has like given me the sense of responsibility that...
And the drive, and the push.
Yeah, like if we have the science to do better, then we need to use it.
Yes.
And so that was not being, that was not happening. So I was like, I need to do something about it. So we had that conversation 4 or 5 years ago, and I just kept, being rejected and be like,
Did
what,
you have
I
a
can't.
eureka moment then? I mean, obviously you started the process, knocking on the door. Did you find, here's the thing about rejections. So who is it? Somebody does a wonderful thing about, what's his name? He's been on the show, Oprah's friend, happiness guy, the happiness professor. Do you know the guy I'm talking about?
No, I'm telling you.
The happiness professor, he wrote... Arthur Brooks. So what Arthur Brooks says, he says that if something happens to you which you'd rather not have happened to you, write it down in your journal and then leave 2 lines. And then when the next thing happens to you that you wish hadn't happened to you, write that down again, leave another 2 lines. 4 weeks after whatever happens to you has happened to you, you go back and you fill in a line of what good has come from it. And 6 months you go back and do another line 6 months on, and there's always good that's come from it. So speaking to your 11 rejections, did you find that they challenge you to hone a better pitch and a better argument? And those questions they asked at these pitch meetings clarified your thoughts, like, what do I mean? Why didn't they get it? Things like that.
Well, you know what's really quite upsetting is that I think some of the companies did get it, right? So what the whole scientific body around probiotics has highlighted is that if you're generally healthy, there's actually no scientific evidence out there that taking a probiotic can help with general gut health.
Right.
Yet most people are led to believe they need to take this daily probiotic for their gut health, when actually, if you want good gut health, have plant diversity, all the different types of super six, have your fermented foods. That's how you get optimal gut health, right? Yeah. But then when we know that probiotic science is very indication specific. So you need to think, the right strain, right time, right way. And I use the analogy of if you have iron deficiency, you don't go and take a vitamin D supplement. Yeah. Different things. That's literally the way we need to use, probiotics. And I think that's sadly why some of the companies were like, oh, we get that, but obviously not going to make us as much money.
Right.
And then there are, some brands out there where they're starting to kind of use this indication specific of like, okay, take this in this sort of, need states. But the formulation does not match the clinical guidelines out there.
I love it when somebody's this passionate.
No, but
you've got so much inside you, haven't you? I love it because it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and then it's what you say. You're so passionate about this.
Honestly, I mean, why else would I throw my life into it?
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so where are we now on the journey?
So literally 6 days old. They're out in the market.
So who said yes? How did that happen? What was it like? Tell us about that whole sort of success aspect.
Yeah, right. So it was about 2 years ago to this very date.
It takes so long, doesn't it?
I mean, when you're recreating a formulation without all of the additives, which I think is a really important point. Can we talk about additives? Because actually, our team at King's, literally on Friday, have just released the results of a world first clinical trial in those with Crohn's disease, mildly active Crohn's disease, and we showed for the very first time that food additive emulsifiers, which are found in over 6,000 foods, ultra-processed foods in the UK, actually, if we cut them out of the diet, actually may have a really beneficial role in reducing not only gut symptoms, but inflammation in those with Crohn's disease for the very first time. So, it was really exciting research. And what we're seeing is that a lot of the products on the market, including things that are meant to be good for the gut, contain emulsifiers. Like baby products. There's this baby probiotic on the market that contains emulsifiers. Right? Now, I don't want everyone to get, really scared. I can't have any emulsifiers. I've got to cut everything out because it was in Crohn's disease. Yeah. And we're doing the peer review paper, and maybe I'll come back and chat about the specifics of that clinical trial. But it's just like this world of... It's a bit scary, right? People are formulating products where they don't necessarily look at the science and know what's happening understanding the depths of, the microbiome.
So you've surgically gone into these recipes, if you like, and you pulled out, this is not good, this is not good.
And unnecessary. That's the thing, is I had to prove to the manufacturers who were like, no, we've always done it like this. I'm like, but please, can you just do me a favor, please. And finally, found the company that would believe in, just letting me have full control, and did the testing. It was like, actually, you don't need them. You don't need the emulsifiers. Yeah. It makes it a little bit easier, maybe cheaper to make, but it's unnecessary. So yeah, like I said, 2 years ago, literally LinkedIn. I'm awful at LinkedIn. I'm honestly terrible, but every couple of months I'd get a message on social media or see a patient, and it would just kind of go, I need to get going. I need to find someone, right? Yeah. So I was looking through, and this company called Nordic had sent me a message. I think they were trying to sell me something, and I was like, oh, actually, I know these guys actually make a clinically proven type of live bacteria formulation for ulcerative colitis. I'm like, maybe I should reach out to them from a different perspective. And yeah, we kind of had a weekly meeting every
Week.
every week, obviously. Thank you, for a year, because obviously they were like, who is it? We need to like trust each other, and I was like, well, I don't really want to get into bed with someone. I would need to make sure that they're really going to live by their word and make sure I have full control, right? Because what's the whole point if they're not going to do it? Yeah. So and then we started getting to the manufacturing, and it's a bit surreal to see them, to be honest.
You brought 2 boxes in this morning, and they're like happy health hampers. So what can people get? I mean, it is a bit of an advert, this, but it's I don't know how else to do it, because it's so... People come and talk about the record. You can buy the record. It's an advert. This is the same thing, only for your gut. So what do you have here, for example? What kind of stuff are you selling here?
Yeah, so there's the 4 different indications, like I said, in clinical practice, where as a clinician, I felt there was the strongest scientific evidence. So you can see there for when you're on antibiotics. So literally, the World Gastro Organization have guidelines. So these are like the leaders in gut health, right? So it's not just me saying this. They have guidelines out there that says if you go on antibiotics, you should take, like I said, the LGG bacteria, 10 billion units, all that sort of stuff. So that's exactly what that product is.
Lovely. So you got 4 boxes, all gorgeous, by the way. Great graphic design, whoever did that. Stunning. And it's also important, isn't it?
Yeah.
So smart strains for fussy babies, smart strains for your vaginal microbiome, smart strains for when you're on antibiotics, smart strains, a big green box for me and Vass for your immune system.
Awesome.
All right,
Yeah.
so how does it work? You just take them every day or forever?
No, I mean,
or?
that's the whole point, is that you don't need to take these every day forever, right? It's all about indication specific. So for example, the antibiotics, you literally take it throughout your antibiotic period and a week after. Stop there.
Right, so
don't
it's a
keep taking it.
complement piece.
Exactly.
Right.
To protect your gut microbiome. And you, like I said, there's loads of research out there. So if you are a healthcare professional, check out our, page where you can actually see all the clinical trials which showed that, going on LGG bacteria reduces antibiotic-associated diarrhea
Right.
by about 70%.
Okay, and smart strains, Tilly, this could be from Light Blue and you, smart strains.
Second product in the range. I like it. We're growing the range.
You match your Light Blue and you, don't you? You literally match it. It's unbelievable. All right. Okay, so if people want these, is it mail order? Is it Holland and Barrett? Where can we get these?
Yeah. So Tesco pharmacies, all Tesco pharmacies are
Nice.
amazing. Obviously online, our website, and then Amazon as well.
What do you look for? What do you search for?
Smart strains.
Smart strains.
Is the
That's
brand's
the
name.
brand?
That's the name, Smart Strains. Yeah.
Smart. So how long did it take you to come up with Smart Strains? What other names were in the hat there, in the mix? Did you have a vote? A glass of wine with Mark? What happened?
The amazing B&B studio helped us come up with the names, because it was really challenging, right? I think
It's so important.
there's
The name is so important.
Yeah, having
Smart
my
Strains.
name involved, and then obviously making sure that it's protected and other people can't say all that. So there's so much goes into it that as a scientist I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, welcome to the world of marketeering.
I know. I mean, it's so powerful. I'm learning that actually, if you want to get the science out there, you actually need to be more savvy. So we did, spend a lot of time making the product.
And so
kind of
Nordic
glossy
have
and
backed
stuff.
all this. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm
That's just anything to chip in with?
So if you are generally healthy, do you need to take a kefir or a Simprove or any? I don't want to mention products, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
These things that are marketed for your gut health, or should you generally just eat like you say, like you suggest, and you've got your books to back that up? And is that good enough?
So that's a really good question. And, it comes back down to the fact that if you are generally well, right, so you don't have thrush, vaginal, imbalances, you don't have a fussy baby, you're not on antibiotics, you're not super stressed and your immune system plugs everywhere, right? So they're kind of those areas.
Cortisol city.
Then actually, then having that plant diversity, the super six, so your whole grains, nuts and seeds, fruit, your veggies, your legumes and your herbs and spices, nourishing and fertilizing your microbiome, plus the fermented food. So you mentioned about kefir and things like sauerkraut and kimchi. So there's actually been a study from Stanford University which showed that people who have a high fermented food diet actually not only have more different types of microbes in their gut, which is kind of the goal to have that protection, but also had lower markers of inflammation in their body. So like I said, for general gut health, you want the fermented foods and that plant diversity. But when it comes to, specific need states like these 4 areas, that's when actually there is the good areas or good science to start taking it.
Talking about cortisol reduction, just the mere fact that you are aware that you are doing something for your own well-being, that will reduce your cortisol, regardless of what you're doing. The fact you're doing it will, because you have the knowledge, safe and secure, that you've got some self-love going on.
Because I love that. And that's, one of the things we see in clinical trials at King's is the placebo effect, right? And that's
so real.
It's so real, right? And so when we were, developing and reviewing all the research, I wanted to make sure that there was a placebo-controlled, randomized controlled trial that have proven these benefits. So it's not just the placebo effect. So all of these 4 areas have got advanced additional benefit on top of the placebo
foundation
effect.
of a placebo.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is amazing. Because it's so funny, isn't it? If you're not really au fait with the world of the placebo, you think, oh, well, it's just chance, and it works. It doesn't work as well as nothing. Placebo isn't nothing. Placebo is the most effective medicine in the world.
The gut-brain axis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's your own chemical laboratory, your own biochemistry producing things that are good for you because of thoughts you have or experiences or food you take or company you keep or whatever that may be.
Yeah. But I'd argue, Chris, that have the placebo effect and then actually have something that
Without
mechanistically
question.
also helps, right?
No, but I'm
So
talking
then
about foundation of placebo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you build a foundation of placebo, you will make choices like this on top of that because you'll get more interested in your own well-being, and the more curious you become with things, and then you'll sort of over the years, and it takes forever. It takes till the day you die, and hopefully that's a long time off because you're looking after yourself so much better to begin to get things right. You start off with everything. Or you start off with something and it becomes bigger, or you start off with something big and it becomes smaller. But as long as you have your own sort of vanguard, a North Star or Nordic Star to head towards then you have some kind of velocity and you have a path.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more.
What else is going on?
Yeah,
how's the fam, man?
Yeah, the fam is good.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Archie's actually going to school in September. Which
how did that happen?
It is so scary. I've got a photo of you holding him, cradling him when he was a baby at Carfest.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks or something stupid, wasn't it?
Oh my God. And, I obviously have them loaded with Smart Strains immunity because nursery is a germ fest. But I'm actually needing to talk to Tash about what I'm going to do with school lunches. So at the nursery, I specifically chose a nursery, Control Freak, where I could bring packed lunch, right? Because a lot of the nurseries actually are giving 1-year-olds chocolate pudding.
I know.
Every day.
I know.
Every day. It's not like just a treat once a week or whatever. It's literally every meal.
And it doesn't get any
I was going to say, so what happens at school?
Well, the snack thing, the schools give out snacks. And you think, any snacks? And then the kids say, come home from school, and they get home from school like 3:30, 4:45, and dinner's at 5. Can we have a snack? They're educating our kids to become snackers. You don't need. I mean, God bless our educators. They have a very, very heavy load to lift every day. And by the way, we all know that primarily they're mass childcare. Thank you for looking after our children. But it's not easy out there. And the more agency you can have in your own child's life, generally, you know all this, the better. But unfortunately, that's not the option.
I mean, the government, really needs to do something about this, right? So it's not the school's fault. They literally have like £1.10 or something to feed these children. So it needs, we've got the research out there that shows that having loads of these ultra processed foods is not good for, all these chronic conditions, let alone their mental health.
Well, Jamie was there 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, he was leading it.
I know, and then the tide came in again, didn't it? Yeah. And he his efforts are sort of nowhere to be seen anymore.
I know. It's really, it's so important as well.
It is important.
It's so important because you can't educate nursery-age children to basically get addicted to sugar from that age because then, God help us.
Well, one biscuit versus a bowl of fruit, biscuit's going to win.
Yeah.
Biscuit's going to win in a child's palate. So just, you try and keep away for as long as you can. Anyway. The Gut Health Doctor is back.
The Gut Health Doctor is back, and this time it's for real. You better be ready for her.
TheGutHealthDoctor.com or at The Gut Health Doctor on Instagram. Question for Megan.
Oh, bring it on.
Are you ready? She loves a question. You love a question, don't you?
I do love questions.
Megan's Q&As with Dr. Rangan Chatterjee and Kirsty Gallagher at Carfest are the greatest sessions Carfest has ever known. Erin says, love today's conversation about gut health. I was told to give my toddler probiotics to improve itching and eczema. I've recently reintroduced dairy and I'm planning to reintroduce wheat soon, but should I continue to give a probiotic, and would any of this smart strain stuff be useful for him?
That is a brilliant question, right? So eczema is an area where, there is quite some good research around prevention, right? So if mum has eczema or dad has eczema, then actually the science shows that if mum takes a bacteria called Lactobacillus rhamnosus HN001, so that's a strain, we need to get specific because each bacteria does different things, right? And I think that's a really key point. So if mum takes that throughout pregnancy and while breastfeeding actually reduces Bub's risk of eczema by around 50%, according to one of the clinical trials, right? Wow. But the issue is when babe already has eczema or adults have eczema, there doesn't seem to be a strain of bacteria that we've discovered yet that can help treat it. And I think that's because we know the first 1,000 days of a baby's life is when the immune system starts to develop. And eczema is, the immune system reacting and getting really angry. So what I would say is we need to watch this space in terms of probiotics. I probably wouldn't worry about a probiotic in this space in terms of treatment for eczema at the moment. Trying to really nourish the microbiome.
I was going to say, give us the headlines on non-medicinal eczema care.
Yeah, so I'm obviously not a dermatologist, but I know that thick layers of moisturizer really does help. And then in terms of diet, we know having those super six, right? So even if it's not going to directly, change the eczema, we do know that that's going to produce anti-inflammatory chemicals because the bacteria eat the super six, produce these things called short chain fatty acids, and helps really, nourish the immune system that way. So you're not going to see it overnight, but trying to add in it. Obviously, toddlers are hard to feed, right? So it's sneaking in, some butter beans into, their curry and stuff like that. Exactly. With all your kids, because all too well.
Yeah.
You see, you're past spoon train days now as well.
No, look at Cooper. He's 1.5. But sometimes after jump around.
Jamie Oliver, speaking of Jamie Oliver did it during Michael McIntyre's show last week as one of the pranks.
Spoon train?
Yeah, in his restaurant, he said, you can pay extra and I'll feed you with a choo-choo spoon.
It's that show, that Michael McIntyre show, it's got it all going on. Megan, great to see you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Once again, we're talking about smart strains available now via all the usual platforms and Tesco Express and whatever it is, Tesco and Amazon, blah, blah, blah. TheGutHealthDoctor.com. Give her a follow at The Gut Health Doctor on Instagram. Thanks, Megan. Great to see you again.
Absolutely. I'll see you at Carfest.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr Megan Rossi at Carfest, if not before. Woo! Aussie Meeg! Aussie Jane, Aussie Meeg! Bring on the Aussies!
Virgin Radio.